Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Limitless podcast. We're your hosts, Gio
Hey, how are you?
and Tony. We talk about anything and everything under the sun. Nobody's safe. Anybody could get it.
Well, guys, we have some interesting stuff to talk about today. We got quite a few stuff to talk about. It's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. But before we get into all of that, looks like somebody had some fun last night.
What talking about? Oh, talking about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently last night, a homeboy of mine invited me to go play some football. And you know me, I like to be a little Memo Ochoa when we get on that field. If you know, you know. So I was goalkeeper. Last line of defense. I'm standing there. It's a 1v1 against this player. And if he scores, we're done. Right? So I put all of my experience, all of my training into it. And as he's taking the shot, I dive for the ball and I ended up scraping my knee in the process. This is actually the clean version of it, though, honestly, because I already, showered and everything. But last night it looked a lot worse.
Yeah, that looks
So,
really, very nasty.
but hey, it was a great game. We kept going back and forth. Like I think, unfortunately, I think we ended up losing. But it was like they were up by 2 goals, and then we caught up, and then we were up by 2 goals, and then they caught up, and it was like just going back and forth and back and forth. Um, so it was a great game, a lot of great moments too. It did go on a little too long though, because for anybody out there that plays football, normally if you go to these fields and you're a regular at these fields, if there's no other game scheduled after, they pretty much just let you go until you want. So it was supposed to be a 1 hour game. We ended up playing damn near 2 hours. I was just like, all right, bro, come on, like, I gotta go to sleep because it was already like 11 at night. I was like, come on, bro, let's
You should
go.
have passed for some coffee on your way home,
Uh, Coffee. First of all, you know I don't like coffee.
which is kind of crazy, honestly.
Coffee. First of all, coffee's disgusting.
No, it's not.
Coffee's disgusting. The real coffee is disgusting. The way that you guys drink it, that's not real coffee.
Brother, I'm drinking real coffee.
No, brother. You load it up with all types of sugars and sweeteners and all this. You're drinking sugar. You're not drinking coffee. I know one real coffee drinker, this dude at my job, he drinks straight black coffee. I've always said, and let me know if you agree with me in the comments. If you're a real coffee drinker, you drink black coffee because you want to experience the taste of the actual coffee, the beans. When you load it up with all types of sweets and all types of like creamers and everything, you're not a coffee drinker. You're not drinking coffee. You're drinking sugar.
Well, okay, so you're right, obviously, in a sense, right? If you're just loading it with sugar, sugar, and sugar, to where you don't even taste the flavor of the coffee or the flavor of the espresso, right? Then yeah, I agree with you. They're drinking nothing but sugar. But also, you can enjoy black coffee, for example, with a spoon of sugar, and you're still drinking black coffee.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. What's in your coffee? You're not gonna tell me that there's only a spoonful of sugar in
No,
it.
no, no. See, I like to mellow out my coffee some. I like to add a splash of creamer or milk. But the thing is, before, yes, 100%. I was drinking basically flavored syrup with a dash, with a dash
A
of
dash of
coffee,
coffee.
right? Or a cup of milk, entire cup of milk with a tad bit of coffee. I'll give you that. But nowadays, I actually enjoy the flavor of the coffee. I'm not gonna say I enjoy it to the point where I'm drinking black coffee because I don't think I could ever reach that point if I'm being honest. Because black coffee to me is just too, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's like
Probably too bitter is what you're
bitter,
thinking, yeah.
bitter, tart.
But that's my point though. Like if you're a coffee drinker, a real coffee drinker, you like that. There's people who go out of their way to drink black coffee every morning. Those are real coffee drinkers.
So I drink coffee every morning, right? I don't drink black coffee. Let's be real. I like to add creamer. I like to add a little bit of sweetener in it. But for the majority of my coffee, you can still taste the bitterness. You can still taste the darkness or the richness of the coffee. But I'm just never gonna be the type to just go out of my way and go get black coffee unless I have no creamer or anything like that. And even then, I'm adding at least a spoon of sugar into that.
We have another brother, right? And he loves drinking coffee. All of them, they love drinking like Starbucks and all different types of coffee. I remember one time he got I don't even know what drink it was, but we were out somewhere and, oh, I remember. So we were on our way to Mexico. We were on our way to Mexico and I hadn't drank anything. We kept going through the airport. It was a crazy morning. If you know about if you know anything about TSA here in Houston in the past few months, past year, it's just been a shit show. And we're at the airport. He saw a Starbucks, and it was like 6 in the morning, 6, 7 in the morning.
That's when you taste it even better.
No, buddy, it was like 6 or 7 in the morning, and he saw a Starbucks. He went to go order some Starbucks. I asked him to get me a water because I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. So I asked him to just get me a water from Starbucks. He ended up forgetting to order the water for me, and I was super thirsty, and there wasn't really anywhere else because it was so early in the morning. Nothing was really open. So I was sitting down, thirsty, dehydrated, and he offered me a little sip of his coffee. Right. First, I said no. I was like, nah, I don't want that. But as the time went by, my mouth was so dry, and I was like, nah, I need something. So I took his coffee and I took a little sip of it. It was the nastiest thing I've ever tasted, bro. It was so bitter, so dark, and it wasn't dark coffee. He got some type of like, I don't even know, bro, like caramel macchiato bullshit. I don't know, but he got something that was supposedly sweet, and it was so bitter. Turns out that he put an extra shot of espresso in it, and that's why it was so damn bitter. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted. I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't like coffee, and I actually don't need coffee to function like most people. Like most people, if they don't have their coffee in the morning, they're a wreck. They can't function for the day. I have no caffeine addiction or dependency, and I stay away from all of that. But people like him piss me off because they are not real coffee drinkers.
I've never claimed to be a real coffee drinker, but let's be real. I still drink coffee.
No, well, hey, you can keep your coffee. My dopamine comes from something that's not caffeine. My dopamine comes from combat sports. So let's get into it. What do we got going on this weekend, Gio?
This weekend, we have an interesting card. It's going to be the return of Ronda Rousey in the Netflix card. So basically, we have Ronda Rousey returning versus Gina Carano. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have no reason to sugarcoat it. They're old. They're 40 years of old fighters. They're old. The last time Ronda Rousey fought was 2016. The last time Gina Carano fought was 2009.
That's wild.
And guess
That's
what?
crazy. What?
They both lost their last fights.
So I know for sure, yes, that Ronda Rousey lost her last fight. I know that was to Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes pieced her up. But Gina, I wasn't aware that she lost her last fight.
Yeah, so they both essentially retired, right? Let's be honest, they were retired. They had no plans to come back to fight. Obviously, they're making a buttload of money. They're making millions of dollars, right?
That's that Netflix for you.
So who's not gonna go fight for millions of dollars? But I feel like they're trying to sell the fight bigger than what it really is.
Whoa, whoa, hold up, because that card is kind of stacked.
No, it got stacked. Yes, it became a stacked card. I'm not debating that, but I'm saying like Ronda Rousey as the headliner and Gina Carano. Again, not to disrespect women's MMA, but you put Nate Diaz versus Platinum Mike Perry in the main event, you don't really need Ronda to be the main event. Ronda shouldn't be the main event. That's just my opinion. You could have also put Francis Ngannou, the Beast.
This is true. The Predator, Francis Ngannou. But here's the thing, though. When it comes to Ronda Rousey, maybe she wasn't, or not anymore, right? Maybe she's not like the greatest anymore. But there was a time. Cue the clip of Joe Rogan saying that Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather in a fight.
that He believes you could take down Floyd Mayweather in a street fight.
All right, wait a minute. Let's clarify this whole thing, okay? I got all the boxing guys going crazy on me. So this is how this went down. Joe Rogan was on ESPN. They asked Joe Rogan, what do you think would happen if Ronda Rousey fought Floyd Mayweather? And Joe Rogan said, depends on where the fight was. If the fight was in the street or the fight was in the cage, Ronda wins the fight.
Oh yeah. Well, I believe it though.
No, bro, come on.
Okay. We're not talking about a boxing match.
I get it. Yeah, it could be a real fight.
Real fight. Ronda Rousey would have made her submit. Would have made Mayweather tap out.
She could have submitted him. Yes, 100%.
And she could have knocked him out as well.
No, she couldn't. She was never.
You don't think a head kick would have knocked him out?
Okay, well, yeah, you're right. With a head kick, yes, but she would never like. Floyd is a master of the Philly shell, and believe it or not, the Philly shell is actually a pretty decent defense against the head kick. Right?
Okay, that could be true, right? But regardless, in a fight, Ronda, I swear to you, Ronda would have either slept him or made him tap out.
Plus, you're talking about a man versus a woman.
Doesn't matter.
It matters 100%.
It matters in a boxing fight.
It matters in every fight, any type of street fight.
No, not when they're trained.
Yes, it does.
Not when it's an MMA trained athlete versus
because it's against another trained athlete. If it was just against a regular everyday
right.
person,
But okay, look. So you mean to tell me that Ronda Rousey wouldn't get him in an armbar?
I'm not saying she wouldn't. Of course she can. If it was taken to the ground, Floyd is done.
Oh, so but okay, cool.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
Right.
But the thing is, she's not gonna get him to the ground because Floyd is going to knock. Like in a real fight, Floyd would knock her out way before that even happens, bro.
No, Ronda would take him down in the first 10 seconds. Ronda would take him down in the first 10 seconds.
She wouldn't be able to. She would not be able to.
Brother, Ronda would take him down in the first 10 seconds.
Remember that every fight starts on the feet. As soon as Ronda would get close, Floyd would most likely I don't like Floyd. I don't like Floyd. I feel like his record is a little bit tainted. But you cannot argue that he is the greatest defensive fighter of all time.
Okay.
As soon as Ronda would get close to him, he would get out of the way, he would take an angle, and then just pop her one time. That power.
No, you're giving it too much credit.
No.
You're giving it too much credit. You're giving him too much credit. Brother, just picture a scenario, right? Where you're Floyd Mayweather, who has never had to use or had to worry about somebody taking you down. You've never had to worry about somebody leg kicking you. You've never had to worry about any of that. Brother, the minute the cage closes, right? Because it's not a boxing ring, they're in a cage. The minute the cage closes and Ronda decides, all right, motherfucker, I'm going to knock you out or I'm going to submit you in the first 10 seconds, 30 seconds. You don't think she's going to do it?
I don't think so.
Oh,
no. I don't because there's clear distinctions between a man and a woman in terms of strength. Like she could be at the top of her sport. It's like we're talking about, you know what? No, I'm not even going to go into that. She could be at the top of her sport. That's fine. But at the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather is also at the top of his sport. And we're talking about a fight. Yes, I understand that Rousey can get him out of there if she gets the opportunity. But she will not get the opportunity. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
I think you're mistaken. I think if it really came down to, okay, Ronda, if you get this man out in the first round and you pay $3 million, she's getting him out of there.
Nah. You're giving way too much credit to Ronda. Plus, keep in mind, okay, I know that it's a little bit different, right? I get this. But the clearest example, Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm. When Ronda Rousey was met with a boxer, granted, yes, she's a kickboxer. But she has a boxing foundation. When she was met with a boxer, what happened? Bro, everybody thought that she was on top of the world. Everybody thought that she was the greatest women's champion or women's fighter in the history of the UFC. As soon as
she propelled her to it.
No, I'm talking about Ronda. And as soon as Holly Holm was put in front of her, a boxer heavy fighter, what happened? She got obliterated, dog. Like it wasn't even Ronda had no business being in there with her. What happened to the takedowns then? She could have taken her down whenever she wanted to. Why didn't she?
So I have to go back and rewatch that fight properly, right? But what I mean, yes, I understand that the Holly Holm put her on her ass with a head kick, right?
But that's the thing. I'm not even talking about the head kick.
No, but hold on. Floyd is not going to do a head kick on you.
That's why I'm not talking about the head kick. I was talking about just piecing her up. The head kick was the thing that finished everything. But before that, dude, she was on skates. She was beating her ass. So you don't think that Floyd is going to do worse?
No. So here's the thing, though, right? Ronda knew, right? Let's put it this way. Ronda knows the threat that Floyd Mayweather poses on the feet, right? She's aware of that threat. So I'm not going to exchange with Floyd. What am I going to do? I'm going to just submit him and take him down immediately.
You're missing a key part of everything. Ego. You don't think Ronda knew the threat that Holly Holm was on the feet?
No, so she did. So basically, the problem with Ronda in that fight is that she felt unbeatable. She felt untouchable. She felt like nobody was going to get her. Right?
Exactly.
So she was overly zealous. I think that's the word. So basically, she was like, oh, I'm going to win this fight easily. So she didn't take it serious. But what I'm saying is, like, in a scenario where, okay, your pride as an MMA fighter is on the line.
Hold up. You're not going to tell me that she did not take the fight serious. Don't disrespect Holly Holm like that.
No, she didn't.
Bro, she got in there and she got a brutal reality check, yes. But don't tell me that she did not take the fight serious.
I don't think she did. And I think I'm not gonna say here and say that this is facts, but I think that there's like a lot of clips of when Ronda was going to fight Holly Holm. Like a lot of stuff had came out to where it basically showed that Ronda wasn't really taking the fight as serious, right? But we'd have to fact check that because I don't want to just speak and say, oh yeah, that is what happened.
We'd have to fact check that. But at the end of the day, these are just opinions. I think, and like I said, I'm not even a fan of Floyd Mayweather, but he would do something nasty to Ronda.
Okay, look, so yeah, I agree that if he gets his hands on Ronda, right? Because at the end of the day, you're a man, you have the power. Although, who did Mayweather knock out in any of his fights?
So there's two different types of Mayweather. There's the Mayweather before his hand was broken and the Mayweather after. The Mayweather after his hand was broken was much more defensive. He was much more just a point technical fighter. But the Mayweather before, like Pretty Boy Floyd, he was knocking dudes out left and right. So there was no type of, oh, Floyd didn't have knockouts. No, Floyd had knockouts. Let's be honest. We got to give credit where credit is due. As much as I dislike him as a person, he was an amazing fighter, an amazing boxer. So he was knocking people out, and he would have done the same thing to Ronda. He would have cleaned her clock. Come on.
I don't know. Okay, look. So yes, he could have knocked her out. He could, but I don't think he would have gotten the chance to, because I think he would have been on his back, or he would have been in a triangle choke, or he would have been on some form of submission.
There's no way he would not have been on the back foot. I'll tell you that for
I'm not saying a back foot. I say he would have been on his back.
Okay. But look, these are hypothetical fights that obviously are never going to happen. Instead, let's focus on the fights that we actually do have present. The rest of the card. So we got Rousey versus Gina. Okay.
Nate Diaz versus Platinum Mike Perry. And Gano versus Philippe Lins.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 more fights on the main card, which you have Junior Dos Santos versus Robelis de Spain. And then 1 more fight between the American Kenneth Cross versus French Saladin Parnassi. I don't think I'm saying that right.
So I'm gonna be honest, cause hey, we're no limit here, right? We just say shit how it is. I don't know those 2 guys. So I don't really know what to expect from them. The name Kenneth Cross does sound really familiar. I might have to go and check to see who he is because it sounds extremely familiar, but I'm not familiar with any of their work.
So look, if I'm being honest, right, the only reason this card is getting the hype that it's getting is because of the King of Violence, Platinum Mike Perry, Nate Diaz, Francis Ngannou, Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey, and I'll even say Junior Dos Santos just because of the name recognition.
He came from a legendary time period where the heavyweights were like back in his days. The heavyweights of the UFC was the best division by far. Nowadays, Alex Pereira is the one that's trying to go up to heavyweight and trying to like bring the name back, or not the name, sorry, bring the hype back to the division. But right now, the lower weight classes
But
are the most
honestly,
hype in
though,
this division.
like I remember when the UFC had Brock Lesnar,
Mm.
where they had
Where Stipe was at his
Kane.
prime, Kane Velasquez. Oh, Kane Velasquez, man! Shout out Kane,
Kane Velasquez was a monster. That
monster.
fight he had with Brock Lesnar, that fight was crazy.
Yeah,
I've seen that fight a couple times. It's an amazing fight.
and Junior Dos Santos came from that era of heavyweights, right? So I'm gonna back Junior Dos Santos 100%.
More so than anything, honestly, is just the experience that Junior Dos Santos has, right? Junior Dos Santos has over 30 fights total. Now he has wins, he has losses, right? But his actual record is 21-10.
Mm.
Robeles de Spain has only had 7 fights total with 5 wins and 2 losses.
So his inexperience will probably play a little factor as well. Junior Dos Santos is used to being on the biggest stage in the world. He was in the UFC. Like I said, he was in like the prime time era of the heavyweights as well. So definitely, I think that's gonna play a big factor. You know, I'll give it to Junior Dos Santos. And keep in mind, old school Brazilians were built different.
Yeah.
Were built different.
Well, aside from that, uh, you also have to take into consideration that he's probably doesn't want to let this new guy make a name off of him.
Right?
So he's gonna come with all his arsenal to get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. But you do have to keep in mind this is an older Junior Dos Santos.
Oh yes, 100%.
This is a much older Junior Dos Santos, pretty much like at the end of his rope. So that hey, father time beats all.
This is true. I agree with that statement 100%. But we don't gotta wait too long. It's literally tomorrow.
24 hours away.
And then also, you also have to think about what this could potentially set for him in the future. Because if he gets a win, I don't know how much money he's getting paid, but I would assume he's getting a pretty good chunk of change.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I remember seeing a clip about Ronda saying that pretty much with this event, they're going to try to create a little bit of competition between the UFC because there's always that looming infamous line of fighter pay, right? That the people in the UFC, it's supposed to be the top of the top in the organization, but their pay is trash. So I heard a clip of Ronda where she was saying that with this event, if everything goes well and they put on a spectacle, they're going to challenge the UFC so that the fighters of the UFC have a little bit more bargaining power coming up where they're like, hey, you know what? If the UFC's not paying me what I want or what I deserve, because realistically that's what it is, what they deserve, then I'll just take my talents over here to the MMA side of Netflix. And hey, hopefully it works out because they deserve to get paid what they're worth.
But I will say this, right? The majority of fighters, right, they choose to go into the UFC for one particular reason: the name recognition, and because ultimately they want to be the belt holder of the UFC. Because we're not going to sugarcoat it, and we've seen this, especially in the last 2-3 years. It's constantly happening. Champions from Bellator go to UFC, and what happens?
Yeah.
They end up fighting. Hey, guess what? They were not the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
The real guys, the real tough challenges, they are at the UFC. So it's not even about just the money. For a lot of these guys, it's literally about the name recognition to build a brand, right? Because if you're in the UFC, you have eyeballs on you, way more than Bellator, way more than the PFL,
This is true.
which some of them probably I don't think they exist anymore, right? But basically, they get into the UFC because they want to be champions. They want to be UFC. They want to be recognized UFC champions. Mighty Mouse, shout out Mighty Mouse, said it best. They don't ask you, oh, do you do MMA? They ask you, hey, do you do UFC? Or did you do UFC? Right?
This is true.
UFC is bigger than MMA for a lot of casuals.
It is, but keep in mind though that means that the journey is just longer. And there's one point that I disagree with you on is the fighters do this for the recognition. They do it for the belt. Everybody, I would venture to say that everybody on that roster, with the exception of Armin Sarukian, shout out Armin, is doing it for the money. Is doing it to get a better life. Is doing it for their family. There's a very, very few amount of fighters who actually do it because they want to be the champion. Who actually do it because they want the recognition and the titles that come with it.
Right. So okay. Right. So I'll give you the part that they do it for money because obviously they do it for money as well, right? But it's not like okay. This is just my thought process, right? For a lot of these guys, they think, okay, once I make the big bucks, once I become the champion, once I have the status, right, and I'm no longer tied to a contract, well, guess what, Netflix? I'm charging 10 million. I'm charging 5 million. Now I come with the name recognition. I come with everything that I bring, my everything that my name brings, right? I can come into your table and say, you know what? I'm worth 5 million. I'm worth 2 million. I'm worth 3.
But how many people that come out of the UFC have the power for that?
But here's the thing though,
Not
like
many.
you don't hear many of the top cream of the crop, the champions, complain about fighter pay. You never heard it from Conor McGregor.
You can't use Conor
No,
McGregor as
no,
an
you never
example.
heard it from Islam Makhachev. You never heard it from Ilia Topuria. You haven't heard it from Sean O'Malley. You haven't heard it from Marab. You haven't heard it from um, Tom Aspinall. You haven't heard it from DC. You didn't hear from any of these guys.
DC, let's be honest. I love DC, but DC's a company, man.
Right. But at one point, even it's because pay-per-view model was different, right? But none of these champions were complaining about not getting paid enough, or the best of the best were never complaining about fighter pay.
Yeah, I get it, but at the same time, they are getting paid crumbs compared to like boxers. So
Yeah, but at the same time, how many of the boxer promotions are still around? Didn't one of them Showtime? Didn't Showtime like shut down?
Showtime? No,
Yeah,
Showtime's still around. Showtime's still around, but you got like I'll play devil's advocate here. When it comes to boxing, obviously you're in that top 0.1% of boxers, you're going to be getting paid astronomical numbers, right? We're talking about the Floyd Mayweathers, we're talking about the Canelos, we're talking about like the Tyson Furies. Like you, when you're at the very top, you're getting paid. You're like overshadowing the UFC by millions and millions and millions. I get that, right? But when it comes to the UFC, even if you're the champion, you're not getting paid what you're worth. You should be getting paid a lot more because let's be honest, the UFC is a multi-million, if not multi-billion dollar corporation.
yeah.
And where's all that money? Like I get it that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of things that we as fans don't know that have to get paid. But your fighters should be getting paid more though.
I mean, okay, so I agree with you that maybe certain fighters deserve to get paid more. But you mean to tell me that somebody who just goes in there and nut hugs you for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes deserves to get paid the same as an Alex Pereira? Deserves to get paid the same as a Ilia Topuria, as a Justin Gagey? Bro, here's what. Okay, so here's the thing, right? You, as a spectator, you go in there and you spend your hard-earned money on seats. They cost you 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5, 10, 20, whatever you spend on your seats, right? If you want floor level, if you want to sit in the nosebleeds, whatever your price is, right? You go in there and you want a good show. Who's gonna give you that good show? Nine,
Okay,
9 out of 10 times, the exciting fighter.
right, but that's all subjective though because for us a good show is going in there, slugging it out, mixing it up, maybe get a couple of takedowns here and there, getting back up to your feet, competitive fight. That's what we like. Yes. But there's people who are very very technical and they'll watch a fight and that fight is a submission fight. They're getting takedowns, they're getting taken down, they're coming back up, and they'll be like nut hugging each other for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But because they have that background, they have the background of like, okay, maybe I've done a little bit of jujitsu, I've done a little bit of wrestling, or maybe I just watch it a lot and I can pick up on certain things that you and I wouldn't be able to pick up. They find it entertaining. So maybe that's their type of entertainment.
Yeah, in a sense, yes, but ultimately, what is this? What is this sport called? Mixed martial arts, right? MMA. So I understand that they have to mix it up. Like not everything's gonna be a slugfest, right? But even then, even if you say, okay, I'm a wrestler, right? There's a lot of fighters who will just stall out the time. They never gonna put you in a threat state. You're never gonna feel like, oh, this guy's gonna submit me anytime right now, or you're never gonna feel like, oh, he's gonna knock me out and he's gonna be on top of me and just I have nowhere to go.
Jailton Almeida.
Jailton Almeida, trash.
This is true.
So that's also the biggest thing about, okay, why would he deserve more money if he's causing people to say, oh, I don't want to come back and see this guy again?
That's fair. I mean, okay, but we got a little bit off topic. We'll go let's not go too in depth into fighter pay because that's always going to be an argument, right? Some people, because I see some of his points, but then of course I also have my own points. Let's focus back on the topic at hand. Let's go back to the card, right?
All right. So obviously, safe to say, if we do picks, both of us are picking Junior Dos Santos to win that fight.
Right.
Right. So basically, honestly, if you want to pick, although you really don't know much about him, right? The French versus American, we can just leave that one.
Like I said, though, the name Kenneth Cross just sounds so familiar. I know him.
And we go back to the same thing, right? If he was in the UFC, you probably would have known who he is.
I probably would have. You're right. Hey, but you never know. Maybe he was in the UFC at some point.
I don't think so.
Because the next fight, which is probably the one that everybody's gonna be waiting for, to be honest, Francis Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou versus Philippe Lins. So this one is actually, obviously, Ngannou is the predator. He's the top, right? But it's actually like a little more balanced in a sense, right? Ngannou has 18 wins and he has 3 losses. Philippe Lins, 18 wins, 5 losses.
So on paper they're close, but keep in mind of the talent pool that Ngannou fought.
Exactly, and we go back to the same thing. They're in the UFC. The UFC talent pool or the roster of the UFC is so deep and it's so heavy, right? That it's gonna outrank wherever they fight. As long as, because the thing is, like, if you fought in the UFC, you fought the best of the best.
Right.
That's literally what it is.
True.
Right.
So I can't pick against Ngannou. Literally, the only person that I would probably pick to beat Ngannou besides Alex right now would be John Jones. That's probably the only one that I would pick against Ngannou. But Ngannou, that whenever there's close fights, it always comes back to the power. And Ngannou is probably the hardest hitting fighter in the history of the UFC. If anybody was gonna beat him, it would probably be Alex Pereira, but I think Ngannou might still have the edge.
So the thing for me is I wouldn't pick against Ngannou either because, brother, Ngannou just hits you once and you're going down. Yeah. Now, and on top of that, honestly, I like Ngannou. I like him as a person. I like him. Basically, when they did the whole 3 Kings of Africa, where you had Israel Adesanya as the middleweight champion, you had Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, as a welterweight champion, and then you had Ngannou. Yeah. And honestly,
that was a great time.
That was a great time to be a freaking UFC fan.
It was an amazing time. But yes, Ngannou is a powerhouse. That knockout versus Alistair Overeem, bro, I thought he snapped his neck.
I thought his soul left his body.
Like, that was such a nasty knockout, and it was, oh my god.
And then he still finishes it
with a hammer. Yeah, it was brutal. And so you see this guy, and he's just gonna come in there and he's gonna send this guy to the stratosphere, bro.
Like, he's gonna send him to the shadow realm. Honestly.
Yeah, like, I'm not picking against Ngannou. It's too much of a power difference.
Now, you know what's crazy though? If Ngannou wins this fight, apparently John Jones is gonna be commentating.
Really?
Apparently John Jones is gonna be in the commentator booth. So John Jones versus Ngannou could still happen, right?
I don't see it.
The only problem is, I think John Jones technically is still tied to a contract with the UFC, right? So if it were to happen, I think it has to happen or has to take part in the UFC.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of how fighters get out of their contracts to begin with. Like, they'll retire for a certain period of time.
No, they're still stuck, especially if they still had like fights left in their contract, which I think John Jones did.
Well, if that fight was to happen, there's literally nobody that I'm picking to beat John Jones, bro. Like nobody. He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. I
He's the
mean,
GOAT.
he's the GOAT for a reason. But also, Ngannou's gonna hit him hard.
But it'll be another repeat of Jones versus Cyril Gane. He's gonna take
I
him
can
down.
see it happening. Don't get me wrong.
He's gonna take him down. And he's gonna get him out of there in 2 minutes.
I can see it happening. Don't get me wrong. But okay, moving on. This is gonna be my favorite fight of the night. Honestly,
this is the one I'm waiting for.
This is gonna be the King of Violence, Platinum Mike Perry, versus Nate Diaz.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one because Nate Diaz, obviously, he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has submissions under his belt. He submitted Conor, right?
Brother, who gave him these black belts?
So he is definitely a mixed martial artist in every aspect of the word. Here's where the problem comes. The problem is he is also a human punching bag.
Yes, he is.
And
guess who loves to punch?
Platinum Mike Perry. Yeah.
No. The
King of Violence.
Yes.
Yeah. The King of Violence, Platinum Mike Perry. So I think this is where you and I might differ.
Oh, 100%.
Because even though...
And I love Nate Diaz, but he's a punching bag.
He's a punching bag, but at the same time, he probably has one of the best chins in the entire history of the UFC.
Yeah.
And yes, Mike Perry's going to come forward and obviously try to knock him out, take his head off. But Nate Diaz has shown time and time again that he has the resilience, he has the endurance to take all of the punishment. Oh, remember, Nate Diaz never loses a fight. He just runs out of time.
He just runs out of time.
He runs out of time. Because I guarantee you, if it was 15 rounds, nobody's touching Nate Diaz, bro. He's winning.
His cardio is insane.
Yeah.
His cardio is insane. I'll give you that. But also, honestly, okay, so I'm not oblivious, right, to the fact that Nate Diaz can easily win this fight if he decides to take him down and submit him, right? Because once he feels like he's taking quite a bit of a damage, or once he feels like he tires you out, he'll do the same thing that he did to Conor, right? Where on the second fight, he was piecing him up as well, right? They were both bloodied and banged up. He's like, you know what? Bow. Submission.
Yep.
So it could definitely happen. But I just see a pathway to victory for the King of Violence, Platinum Mike Perry, because Nate Diaz loves to put a show for the people. He's a fighter that deserves to get the big bang because of his fighting style, right? So he's going to put on a show for the people. I don't see him going for a submission. I see him just wanting to stand and bang with him for some reason. And I feel like it's going to be a quick night for Nate Diaz on that one.
Maybe another iconic pose like he did versus Rocky Edwards.
Leon Edwards. The last minute he's gonna rock him.
He's gonna rock him
and then he's gonna
point at him. That would be epic. But I don't know, bro. I'm gonna pick Nate on this one. I feel like he's either gonna submit him or he's gonna beat him in the decision. I don't see Mike Perry getting him out of there. Yes, Mike Perry he's like iron fist, right? But I don't see him finishing Nate Diaz. So I'm gonna go with Nate Diaz on this one.
Interesting. I mean, I could see a point for either one, right? Let's be honest. I could also pick Nate Diaz, but I just feel like Platinum Mike Perry's gonna get it done. But all right, on to the final card,
the one
the final night,
been waiting for, the main event,
the final fight of the night. The reason why this card was built: Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I think it's gonna be a round one finish by Ronda Rousey via armbar.
Oh, via armbar. So I agree that I think Ronda's taking it. I think it's a little premature to say round one. I would probably go maybe like round two.
Now remember, this one is 5 rounds.
Right. I get that. I would probably go round two, and I would probably say TKO. I don't think she's going to knock her out. I think that she's going to be piecing her up, and the ref is going to have to come in and save Gina. But obviously, of course, if she wanted to, she can get the submission. She'll get the takedown, get the submission. I don't think she's going to want to do that, though.
I think you're wrong. I think she's going to, because the thing is like she's gonna want to send a statement because in the UFC.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna ask you about this. Do you think it's gonna be a fight where Ronda goes in there and just kind of, no disrespect to Gina, right? But kind of toys with her food to give the because keep in mind they want to produce something that gives the UFC a run for its money. So do you think that Ronda's gonna go in there, play around with her food a little bit, give the people a good show?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she's gonna want to just like provide a carcass, right, as a statement. Because the thing is, in the UFC, you have people like Amanda Nunes talking smack about her. You have people like the current champion. What was her name?
Mackenzie Dern?
No, no, no,
No,
no.
no.
The only American champion that they have right now,
Kayla Harrison.
Kayla Harrison. I forget her name
Yeah,
sometimes.
Kayla Harrison.
So you have people like Kayla Harrison talking that smack. So she's gonna want to prove a point, right? Ronda's in a position where she can always go back to the UFC because Dana loves her so much, right?
This is true.
So if she makes a statement, you don't think she can cut the line for Amanda Nunes?
No, God no.
No, because just for the simple fact that Ronda Rousey is gonna bring in more eyeballs than Amanda Nunes does.
Amanda Nunes is the women's GOAT.
I agree as well.
And so in terms of star power, okay, maybe yes, you're right. Ronda has a little bit more star power, but for the culture, I'm pretty sure that they would. Plus, it's already been teased too many times.
I mean, yeah, but it's not like we haven't seen it before, to where they just pull the rug off of something, right? They just pull the rug underneath.
But here's the one thing that I think you're disregarding. I don't think Ronda Rousey even wants to go back to the UFC to fight these up and coming prospects.
No, she would only go back just to make a statement off of some of these women. But here's the thing: she'd already tried to go back.
Because what's the alternative?
Apparently, Hunter Campbell, basically said, "You're not worth what you're asking." Right. So
yeah. So then she's not gonna go back to the UFC.
No, because I'm saying like, okay, they shut her down, so she went to the Netflix, right? So if she provides a carcass and she makes a statement, you don't think that they'll be like, oh, you know what, Ronda? Yeah, come make us some money, Ronda. We'll put you in there.
She can provide the statement as much as she wants. If the numbers don't match, though, it's a moot point.
Yeah, that's true.
Point. But aside from that, what's the alternative? Ronda Rousey comes in. Let's say that she beats Kayla, which I honestly don't see happening. But let's say that she beats Kayla. What's next? She has a super fight
with Amanda Nunes,
yep, and gets pieced the fuck up again.
I mean,
dude, Amanda Nunes made her seem like she did not belong in
I mean, she got out in under a round, under a minute, I think.
But it was just a sparring session for Amanda. If you go back and you watch the fight, like she couldn't even defend herself because she kept getting pieced up, one hand, overhand, this hand, that hand, and it's like she had her on Bambi legs, and she did not deserve to be there. And I love Ronda. I think she was a great fighter in her time. She was completely outclassed versus Amanda Nunes.
So the only thing that I'm saying is this, right? I don't think she will beat Amanda Nunes, right? I think she will definitely beat Kayla Harrison.
I don't think so.
But the thing is, like, does she even want to go back to the UFC after she makes this X amount of money? Because apparently, I mean, it's been talked that she's breaking through barriers and she's getting paid the most amount of money any woman has ever made, and millions of dollars or whatnot.
I think she should stay in her lane. I think she should pivot, stay in the MMA scene, do like these. Because Gina's is more like Gina's name kind of holds a little bit of weight as well.
Yeah, but obviously Ronda Rousey's name is the one that's...
Of course, right. But what I'm saying is, like, when you have two people whose name has weight to it and they can produce these super events, I think that's what she should stick to. I don't think because she's not gonna go back to the UFC and get in competitive fights again. But
honestly, I don't even think she continues fighting after this one.
That too.
I think honestly she might just go to promoting.
Well, she did say that she wants to be an ambassador. She wants to be
because the thing is, like, why would you want to? Again, fight up and comers. She's not gonna do that.
She's not.
She would only be interested in the big trilogies or the big
Money fights.
money
Literally.
fights.
Literally money fights.
The only trilogy that she could have would be no, not even trilogies, just because Amanda beat her up. It would just be the second time fighting. So, I mean, it's interesting. I think the landscape could change a lot after tomorrow. Because again, we're saying she's gonna win. If she loses, oh brother,
Yeah, if she loses,
she's gonna
getting
get dragged
dragged.
through the mud.
She's gonna get dragged.
So
yeah.
honestly, for Ronda's sake, she has to win. Gina Carano is winning more here than what she could possibly lose. Because at the same time, Gina Carano was already retired. Like she had no notion. She was been gone longer. Her last fight was like 2009. So she's been gone.
And that rust is gonna play a big part in tomorrow's
So honestly,
result.
for Ronda's sake, she better win because she's been talking trash.
But that's been Ronda her whole career. Ronda always has talked a bunch of trash.
Yeah, but it's a lot worse when now you also start talking trash about. For example, she shit talked Hamza Chimaev because Chimaev made a comment basically saying like, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you" or something like that, or "Don't bite the hand that fed you for so long." And basically, Ronda, basically, it's old school Ronda again, just shit talking. So for her sake, she has to win.
She has to. But speaking of shit talking, the comments that Nate Diaz made about DC, I love Nate Diaz, but that might be the most brain dead comments that I've ever heard in my life. This is a double champ, Hall of Famer, legend of the UFC. Literally, double champs, you can count them on one hand. True double champs.
Well, the thing is, they took it off. Let's be real.
That's why I'm saying true double champs.
Because honestly,
you can count them on one hand.
Ilya deserves to be double champ. Islam Makhachev deserves to be double champ. And who was the other one? Because that's it.
That's it for now. Just those two. But even then, DC is a legend, and for Nate to have the comments that he had was just egregious. Egregious. But
for those of you that don't know, basically Nate Diaz called him a pussy, right? Because he cried after losing a fight. So, right, typical banter back and forth. DC responded and said, "Brother, I lost to two people my entire career. Nate Diaz has a lot of losses.
Mind you, Daniel Cormier, DC, that's who DC is. Daniel Cormier lost to the heavyweight GOAT at the time, which is, well, actually probably still
It's still considered the heavyweight GOAT,
which is Stipe Miocic, and the GOAT of the sport, which is John Jones. Those were his two losses.
Nate Diaz has, I think, 7 losses.
Nate Diaz has lost quite a bit, yes.
He's lost quite a bit.
So for him to make that, to say those comments about a legendary fighter like DC, when you are yourself on the road to becoming a potential Hall of Famer, it was.
But also
brain rot.
Also, I love DC. DC called him an average fighter. He ain't wrong because technically, brother, Nate Diaz. I love Nate Diaz so much, but he didn't touch the belt.
No,
he was never gonna touch the belt. Unfortunately for him. If Conor would have had the belt at that point, he probably could have. You could have made a. Because the thing is, like, he did beat some champions or past champions.
But when Conor had the belt, that was a different Conor than when he fought Nate Diaz, though.
But it's funny though. I love when basically, I don't know if you saw it or not, but basically Ariel Helwani, he was on the Ariel Helwani show, and Ariel Helwani basically told him like, let me call up DC so we can make truce here. I don't want y'all fighting.
Yeah, I saw it. DC does not give a fuck about this, man. Like, DC was like, I don't have a problem with Nate. I actually wish him luck. Good luck on this upcoming fight. Like, he's trying to stay relevant. Or I don't know. Like Nate, I don't know what his.
I think Nate just be smoking too much sometimes.
Nate is just Nate. I think that Nate is just Nate. Nate will say whatever he wants to whoever he wants. He'll fight anybody. Like, he'll fight DC.
He almost wanted to fight The Rock.
Yeah, literally, he was about to fight. Well, I mean, The Rock is just muscles, right? Whatever. But
he wouldn't lose. He would not lose to The Rock.
No, he would destroy The Rock. Yeah, but Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz. But we got a little off topic. So yeah, I'm picking Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey is probably gonna get her out of there in 2 rounds. I'm picking TKO.
Yeah, I'm sticking to the armbar round 1.
She does have some great armbar, so I wouldn't be surprised if she does get her out of there with a submission. But let us know in the comments what you guys are picking. If you want to have a detail of each fight that you're picking, or if just on the main event or just on 1 or 2 fights, let us know in the comments. And also let us know about any other things that you guys want us to talk about. To the topic of today was MMA and just sports in general, combat sports in general. But this is the Limitless podcast, and we talk about anything and everything. So whatever you guys want to see, let us know. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.